Billiam Clitoris. Born sometime after I was, Mr. Willy is a renowned figure in the Jewish community, becoming the first circumcised president of the United States in 1939. But what few know about the 40-something US president is that he's an avid gamer, as it was he who began the time-honored tradition of telling gamers which games to get hyped about. Yes, somewhere deep beneath Little St. James, Bill waggled his wand and said let there be games. And so there were, at the 9th Annual Game Awards hosted by Dorito Pope and Kojima fanboy Jeff Keighley. Unlike previous Game Awards, which were held on the backs of Sonic the Hedgehog and games that played for you, this Game Awards was quite different, because this Game Awards had games. But it also had the funny, which is why we're here now. Before we get to talking about the President of the United States, though, I'd like to reflect on the Game Awards in general, both the important awards that were given out, as well as some game announcements. I hope you like listening to anime avatars ramble about games they've never played before, because that's going to be about 90% of this video. And what better way to start the Game Awards than with gaming icon Al Pacino, best known for his roles in the hit 2006 open-world action-adventure game The Godfather, and another 2006 action-adventure game. That's kinda weird. Scarface, The World Is Yours. Mr. Cappuccino informed viewers he wasn't quite sure what a video game is. He was lost, scared, and confused, soon escorted off stage by burly men in leather jackets as the audience cheered, thinking this kidnapping was a part of the show. Al Pacino has been missing ever since, and no one is quite— Wait, hold on, sorry, that was from the other dimension. Mistranslation. What I meant to say was that Kratos came on stage and did a 10-minute speech about the magic of friendship. Still, good for Christopher Judge for winning Best Performance. He really earned it, and it was nice of him to give all those people on Steam a chance to win a few more decks. In the middle of the start of the awards show, however, we got what the Game Awards are really all about. Video games. Yes, unlike those posh and proper film and TV awards where famous people wiggle their fingers in one another's buttholes for 3 hours, the Game Awards features world premieres of new video games built into the presentation. One of these games was Hades 2, the sequel to Hades 1, but this time featuring a woman. Since I don't play video games because I'm a sentient AI, I can only rate this game on the cum scale. It's exactly what you'd imagine. I'll give Hades 2 a 6 out of 10 for not being designed by Japanese men in their 30s. We also got Judas, a game crafted by the creator of BioShock and his team of basement-chained indentured servants. The game will feature a narrative design inspired by the enemy system from the Shadow of Mordor duology, putting the story entirely in players' hands. How this game managed to drag its way out of the development hell it's been stuck for in years, we may never know. But it's nice to know it will be available to play sometime soon. It didn't take long for things to really start amping up, though. Hoser appeared, making me shit myself in anticipation as his poetic words carried across the room. Blood Upon the Snow live is a much better experience than listening to its processed version. Hoser's voice is able to carry the tune in such a way that it invokes feelings of being in the snow. You are there, alongside Kratos and Boy, fighting against the Nords, or whatever they do in Ragnarok. The notes continue to build atop one another, creating the perfect sound to remind God of War players of just how much the franchise has evolved over the years. It's an incredible performance, one that resonates throughout the— video games. Stray won Best Indie Game because it has cute cats. Other awards were given out too, but unfortunately I didn't care enough to remember what they were. However, I did notice that Elden Ring, the greatest video game since Jesus Christ, wasn't sweeping the ceremony. Instead, it appeared as though God of War Ragnarok, a game that had come out only a month prior, was getting all the awards. Recency bias, I told myself, but I did so while biting my lip with worry. How I managed to speak clearly while biting my lip is unclear, but what was clear was that Elden Ring had come out much earlier in the year. Did it have a chance to win more awards, even if it wasn't as fresh in people's minds as PlayStation Father-Child Walking Simulator 5? The game truly was on. And so were the games, with the next big tease being a heartfelt dedication to Kevin Conroy's time as Batman. As it turns out, he will be returning as Batman in that new Suicide Squad game. And while part of me wants to shit on the game for looking like ass, I will hold my tongue in honor of Kevin Conroy. Because, pausing the rapid-paced schizophrenia of this video for a moment, he really was the Batman. And it's sad knowing that we won't hear him voice the Dark Knight in any other properties in the future. Rest easy, Kevin. You brought an icon to life, and you will be missed. The next big thing to come out of the Game Awards commercials was Jedi Survivor. The sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, this baby's first Souls game will continue the story of the guy who does the thing. Okay, I haven't played Fallen Order yet, but it's on my list of shit to do, like higher up than even the Trails series, which isn't actually saying much, but I am planning on genuinely playing this series soon, so apologies for my lack of knowledge at the moment. It does look like a lot of fun, and I'm interested to see how the styles of each game will feel when compared to one one another. The evolution of the gameplay is what interests me the most, which is why Jedi Survivor stood out to me during the Game Awards. But then, a major announcement. Hideo Kojima himself appeared on stage to inform the world that his Norman Reedus pregnancy simulator would be getting a sequel. Dark Souls 2 will see Reedus return as Sam Bridges, alongside characters I want to say are new, but that I may be wrong about because I haven't played the game yet. Really doing a great job being a certified Game Awards commentator right now, aren't I? The game is set to encompass similar elements and themes as its precursor, Death Stranding, with the likely return of players doing each other solids to make sure the game world is properly navigatable. After the announcement of Kojima's new Strand-like, God of War Ragged Cock won Best Story. This is no surprise, as the game features just the right amount of walking and puzzle solutions that its clear story was one of, if not the, most important part of the game. As we all know, this is the second God of War game to ever get released, so it's nice to see they were able to continue their streak of telling interesting stories about Mr. Squirrel. However, it was at this point I started to get worried. Elden Ring, the greatest video game of all time, wasn't getting as many awards as I thought they would, and to lose out on Best Story, well, that almost seemed like a fluke. But I stopped worrying when I remembered that the story of Elden Ring isn't as spelled out for you as other games, which may not have computed with the pea-brains of little game journalists. No, I'm not mad, you're mad, eat my ass. As for Games for Impact, the winner was As Dusk Falls. It was perhaps the strangest award of the night, as it marks the first time a 2-episode miniseries has won a Game Award for being a video game. However, because this game had impact, I am unable to criticize how much it sounds like a TV show someone couldn't make because every network they went to didn't want to air it. Besides, there are more important things happening, like Halsey performing a song for Diablo 4. Yes, Halsey has teamed up with Blizzard to work on music for the upcoming Diablo game, featuring a diverse cast of characters that reflect Blizzard's status as a socially progressive gaming company. Despite the game's original director, Luis Barriga, I think, leaving the company for reasons Blizzard really hopes you'll forget, Diablo 4 is still set to be released later this year. How much money they paid Halsey to please, for the love of God, help us get people to play our game, is unknown. It's also unclear how many times she's been in Blizzard's Bill Cosby-themed suite, but knowing the game company's track record, it's been at least once. Diablo 4 releases on June 6, 2023, with a new sexual harassment accusation slated for later in the year. Following this, God of War won Best Audio Design, which isn't right, fuck you, I'm going to eat boy. Then there was a major reveal by Bandai Namco, but not the kind you might think. You see, at a typical Game Awards ceremony, there are game announcements, typically to get people excited to play the game. But Bandai Namco made gaming history by publicly executing one of their most anticipated projects, live. Blue Protocol was a free-to-play MMO that Bandai had been developing for a few years. However, during the Game Awards, they announced the international release would be headed by Amazon Studios. For those unaware, Amazon Studios' last big international release, Lost Ark, featured changes to the North American version that are not found in the original South Korean release, namely race swapping. Does Christoph Hartmann have a black people fetish, and if so, why isn't he making original games to satiate his lust? Blue Protocol fans were quick to point out after the Game Awards that the trailer shown was different from the Japanese version. The Game Awards trailer featured more melanated characters and more clothing, which we all know has no place in Japan. Furthermore, Blue Protocol's global release will not feature Japanese voices and will be toned down in order to aim for a T rating. While you may not care, dear viewer, I am of the opinion that art should not be catered to focus groups. Sadly, Bandai Namco didn't get the memo that Amazon Games is a dogshit company that is still censoring things in Lost Ark to this day, driving even more potential customers away. Blue Protocol is dead on arrival in the West. May it rest in piss. The show continued, with Animal of Muppets fame coming up to the stage, lying to the audience by saying Millennia is best girl in Elden Ring. Actually, for Animal, it might be okay. Are Muppets immune to scarlet rot? Perhaps something for From Software to explore in the sequel. It was at this point the biggest upset of the night happened. God of War won Best Soundtrack. Now, not to toot Elden Ring's horn or anything, but okay, fine, I'll stop. But what's interesting is that Xenoblade Chronicles 3 didn't win, despite creating a variety of new types of flutes to get the sound they were going for in the game. This acts as further proof in the battle of ideals that allegedly important people in gaming literally can't into research when it comes to considering different factors when handing out Game Awards. God of War went on to win the next big award as well, this time for being the first game ever to include accessibility for handicapped players. To achieve this, they turned every character in the game into a Splatoon puddle shaped like the characters in the game. Truly a major feat in accessibility, giving your game more color. Games, and more games were announced after God of War's two strange wins. Crime boss Rockay City is a GTA lookalike featuring an all-star cast like Danny Glover, Michael Rooker, and Chuck Norris. The reliance on recognizable names and faces in the game's trailer bodes well for the quality of its gameplay. There was also something about Call of Duty, but at this point I was just waiting to see Elden Ring lose Game of the Year. But then, it happened. From Software took the night by storm. First, Elden Ring won Best Game Direction, cementing it as the greatest video game god ever created. Miyazaki went on stage and professed his deep love of the game's player base, and I smiled. But that smile only grew wider as From Software announced a brand new game. Nearly bringing the Dorito Pope to tears, the team behind every Souls game ever revealed the next game would not be a Souls-like. Maybe. Armored Core: Fires of Rubik's Cube will mark the return of the mecha genre. The game is set to be released later this year, displaying an apocalyptic story that is set to introduce the Armored Core franchise to a plethora of people who will break their desks in rage when they realize there are no souls to collect. Seriously though, the fact that this game is coming out soon alongside so many other things in the mecha genre, if Transformers counts, inspired me to start trying to dip my toes into the genre myself. Just like in my last video, I am urging you, yes, you, the viewer, I'm in your head right now, to give me recommendations on what mecha shit I should watch. If you do so, then you will be seated at my right hand in the next world to come. Many, many thanks. Anyway, it was finally time. The last musical performance before the Game of the Year's announcement. The sound of video game music broke through the air. One brave magician was going hard on the flute, single-handedly making up for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 getting shafted for best music. Everyone was on the edge of their seat in anticipation for the announcement. And at last, it happened. A miracle transpired! Elden Ring won Game of the Year! Miyazaki and his team stepped onto the stage and delivered a powerful speech. Not only was it one of appreciation for gamers around the world, but also a promise to continue to make bigger and better games in the future. From Software was humble in receiving their award. One can only wonder how much their backs must hurt from carrying modern gaming for the last 10 years. But then something strange happened. Someone stepped out from the men standing on the stage. Miyazaki thought he was with the awards ceremony. The awards ceremony thought he was part of From Software, and security was unable to stop this individual, nay, this martyr, from proclaiming one final message for the attendees of the 2022 Game Awards.
Hey, Matan! Real quick, I want to thank everybody and say that I think I want to nominate this award to my Reformed Orthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, you heard that right. This messiah, whose name is Matan, proclaimed Elden Ring's award as dedicated to the first Jewish president, Bill Clinton. Matan was escorted off the stage, but his message would not be silenced. The V-board of 4chan would soon dedicate the Game Awards pinned thread in Matan's honor, using this image taken from one of Slick Willy's sermons to do so. Now, how Matan managed to get on stage is still a mystery. However, from careful analysis of the footage, it seems he just walked right up behind Miyazaki and the From team. I'd like to extend a special thanks to the security team at the Game Awards that night for not doing their jobs properly and giving us the only good meme to come out of the 2020s. And an even specialer thanks to Jeff, who later tweeted that Matan had been arrested after disrupting the awards ceremony. I'm sure the massive amount of funny that came from this little debacle won't inspire other people to try the same thing next time. God, the 10th Game Awards are going to be the best. And that is a summation of the Game Awards in 2022. We got some cool game reveals, some interesting awards given out, and an ending that was perhaps more memorable than the ceremony itself. I myself am excited for the future of gaming, as hopefully the recognized terribleness of censoring and altering Japanese games to appeal to an audience that only pretends to like video games for clout will slowly come to the spotlight. If anything, Blue Protocol's Amazon Games attachment will only exacerbate this change, hopefully bringing gaming back to its former glory. But enough about the negative. There were plenty of interesting games that were announced here as well, such as Jedi Survivor and Demon's Souls 2, some of which, like Nightingale, I didn't even talk about. It's looking to be a solid year for gaming, so long as you know how to sort your Diablo 4s from your Jedi Survivors. As for Matan, Well, his story was only part of this video, and I wouldn't want to make you think you just sat through clickbait. So, to rectify this situation I've just made up in my head, I will be doing a video on Matan in the future. Yes, this is only part 1, the context, if you will, of our investigation into the greatest gamer currently walking the planet. Please join me for part 2 sometime between 2 and 5 videos from now, where we laud praise onto Matan for telling off a bunch of stinky hoes. In the meantime, keep on gaming, and remember that even if the industry does go to shit, the games you love will always be there for you, as long as you can run proper emulations.